Hello students. Today we are going to learn part 3 of chapter 2, that is Indian economy 1950 to 1990. See, it's very important that every economy should grow in terms of its GDP. And after the independence, we realized that our economy, our country cannot grow if we don't focus on industrial sector, because our majority of the population was engaged into the production of agricultural goods. So our 5-year planning, it focused more on the development of this sector, because economists found that poor nation cannot progress if they don't have good industrial sector. Because only when you have more number of industries, it may lead to generation of, employment, a good infrastructure, that is health, education, or let's say hospitals, or roads, transport, communication. So all these infrastructure development and prosperity is possible only if there is a growth in industrial sector. Now, industrialists after the independence did not have much capital to invest, and neither we were encouraged because the market was not huge. There were no such demands into the market which would encourage this industrialists to undertake the major project of setting up their industries into our country. So, due to this reason, the state had promoted the development of industrial sector in its 5-year planning. Now, for this purpose, Industrial Policy Resolution 1956 was taken into account. This resolution had classified industries into the 3 categories. The first category of industries were owned, controlled, and managed by the government, which are also called as a public sector company or public limited company, which were under the ownership of the government. So government used to take care of such industries, and they used to produce the goods and services which were needed, which were not produced by the private sector, because the aim of private sector was to earn profit. So what about the goods which are necessity goods? Who will produce those goods? So government undertook this responsibility, and this public limited category was assigned for that. So the first category, which was owned by the state, that is the government. Second category, it consisted of industries in which private sector could, supplement the effort of state or the government. And the third category was exclusively for the private sector. As we saw that in second, it was a combination of both private and public. And in third, it was exclusively, that is left to private sector. Now, no industries were allowed unless a license was obtained from the government. See, there were certain strict rules with regard to license. That is, industries, any industry, if they want to start a production unit, they had to get the license from the government. So due to this tedious registration process or license process, many of the industries were lacking behind, and they could not invest much into this due to license fees. Now, the purpose of this policy was to promote regional equality. That is, government wanted the private companies to start their projects in the backward areas, so that even those remote regions could be developed in terms of transport, communication, or infrastructure related things. So license to expand the production was given to these producers or industrialists only if the government was convinced that the economy required a larger quantity of goods. Now this license was not given because if there is more production and there is no demand for it, then the resources of country would go waste. So to protect those wastages of resources, only limited licenses were given. Now, there were small scale industries who wanted to come up, but they could not get the opportunity during the colonial period. Now, in 1950, that is after independence, a small scale industrial unit was one which invested a maximum of rupees 5 lakhs, but at present, the maximum investment is allowed up to 1 crore. So any company which is investing up to 1 crore is considered as a small scale industry. Now, small scale industries are of course labor intensive, because they use more of a labor and less of a capital due to shortage of capital, of course, money, of course. So, but subsidies and concessions were given to this small scale industry so that they could develop. Now, government had played a major role in promoting and in encouraging the small scale industry to come up and invest into the market by giving them subsidies and concessions. As I have already explained you that what are subsidies and concessions. Subsidy means giving them the benefits with regard to taxation or with regard to seeds, fertilizer, or the raw materials. And maybe you can say that taxations were not imposed much on these small scale industry. They were given the freedom. Now, the another concept under this policy was import substitution. Now, import substitution means, I had also explained in earlier session, that trying to produce the goods in your own economy rather than importing it from the other country. So this policy aimed at replacing or substituting those imported items with the domestic production. You could have observed that in the last few years, our country is really focusing on this import substitution. That you could have seen that many are trying to promote the Indian products and not to buy, foreign goods, so that our Indian economy can grow if we buy Indian made goods. Now, the government protected the domestic industries from foreign competition by giving them this opportunity so that foreign competition is restricted and they do not enter into the Indian market. Now, protection from import took two forms. One is tariff and quota. That is how to protect people, that is Indian people, from foreign competition. So two steps were taken. One was tariff and the other was quotas. Tariff means taxation or charges on imported items. That is, when anyone is importing goods and services, they have to pay heavy taxation so that import reduces or they are discouraged to, buy the imported goods. And quotas mean fixing the limit of imported goods. That is, the limit was fixed that in particular sector, not more than certain amount of goods should be imported from the other countries. Our planners also feared the possibility of foreign goods exchange being spent on import of luxury goods, because if our country does not get into the manufacturing of luxury goods or heavy industries, then we cannot stop the foreign competition. So if there were no restriction were placed on this import, it would affect the Indian market. And that is why the government started encouraging to produce all those heavy industries to be manufactured in India instead of exporting those goods from the foreign countries. For example, automobile industry. That government encouraged that let's produce all those vehicles in India itself instead of importing it from other countries. Now, what were the effect of all these policies which I had explained you on industrial development? GDP contribution from industrial, if we see the industrial sector GDP, it has increased from 11.8 to 24.6 up to 7 5-year planning. That is right from first 5-year plan to seventh 5-year plan. Our GDP had increased from 11.8 to 24.6, which is a very good growth. No longer was Indian industry restricted largely to cotton and textile or jute industry. See, I had told you earlier that there were restriction in terms of production, but now after independence, there were no restriction into the production of any kind of or any varieties of goods. Now, these promotion of small scale industries encourage people who did not have much capital to invest, because government used to give them subsidies, provide them loan at a lower interest rate, and protect the foreign competition. Many public sector incurred huge losses because their main aim was welfare. So sometimes they had to produce the goods and provide it to the public because they were necessity goods. So if they don't provide it to the public, who will provide them? because private sector would obviously not be interested for the welfare of the people. So this public sector had to incur huge losses. But this does not mean that private sector only used to earn profit. Even they were facing losses at times. Now, this big industrialist would get a license not for starting a new firm, but to prevent competitors or competition. And due to license Raj, that is, there was a system of license till 1990, that it was compulsory for all the industry to get the license, to get registered in order to start production. So this policy was preventing them to expand their business. So you can say that this was one of the limitation during that time. And due to this restriction, they were not able to expand their industrial production. Now, there were also certain restrictions on import for the benefit of course, Indian consumers and Indian producers. So, but on the opposite side, if we see the limitation, we did not get much variety of goods. So, Indian consumers had to purchase whatever Indian producers were producing. But after 1990, that is in the year 1990, new economic policy was introduced. So as I said, that due to this introduction of new economic policy of 1990, it paved the way for Indian economy to move into liberalization, privatization, and globalization. We would be studying these concepts in the later chapters. Now, to conclude this chapter, let's have an overview as to what we have learned. We know that after independence, all the industries became diversified. That means our production was not limited only to few industries, but we started entering into the different markets. Land reforms led to abolition of zamindari system. Land ceiling helped the cultivators to give more output and get more profit. Our economy became self-reliant in terms of agriculture, and there was export promotion and import substitution, which means we used to produce those goods and services which were, we were importing from the other countries. And of course, there was a green revolution which had many benefits for our Indian economy, and due to which there was increase in GDP. Thank you.